I mean, Strauss said the true Gita ends with chapter 2. Well, there are 18 chapters in the Gita, so give me the false Gita. I mean, that's crazy.
So we should be paying special attention right now because this is the real Gita.
Well, according to these Germans, right? I don't buy it at all.
Do they ever have like, like we had like the Diet of Worms and, different to canonize, did they ever have anything like that?
I don't think so.
No?
Except that the Veda was memorized, and it's amazing, the subcontinent of India is a pretty big place,
Yes,
right?
it is.
From Kashmir down to Tamil Nadu and so on. And when people studied it, the recensions from North India, East, South varied very little. And so that means these chanting and memorization traditions had gone on with very little change, 4,000 years or 3,000 anyway.
The Buddhists, though, have all sorts of little councils here and there to codify.
I see, to make sure that they got it right.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think there was anything like that, but they still. So yes, very good. And I was just saying to Robin how there are moral dilemmas in the Bhagavad. It's full of difficult moral choices, and so she brought up last time that a couple of the guys on the other side were actually addressed by Krishna. I think there's an episode where Krishna talks to him and tries to win him over, and so in a sense they know, and they still are on the bad side. And I think it's because there is a moral dilemma, and they've taken a vow to support the ruler of Hastinapura, the elephant city. Hasta is hand, Hasti is that which has a hand, that's an elephant. And so Hastinapura is the city of elephants. And so that's the main center that they're fighting over right now. And so they I think they had taken a vow to support whoever is the king. And so at that point, you don't buy this. You're frowning there.
Oh, I'm frowning because I'm just realizing that the two people who asked for a fresh version of the reading, I gave the wrong reading to, and I'm currently printing out the correct one. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Well, let's we're in chapter 2. So let's all chant together from the very last page of chapter 2.
You look there until I give you the correct one, which is printing as we speak.
Oh, okay.
Sorry
So,
about that.
well, it's very easy to remember. It keeps repeating itself through all the chapters, and it goes. I'll say it first, and then everyone. Om Tat Sadati Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yoga Nama Dvitiyo Dhyaya. So this is Om Tat Sat Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu. In these Upanishads include the Bhagavad Gita, which is about the knowledge of the absolute Brahman, in the text of yoga, in the conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. We have the second chapter, which is entitled Sankhya Yoga. Now, there's a big change I noticed. I forgot exactly what number it is, about 30 something or maybe late 20s, where I've given you Sankhya and now hear the same story in yoga. And there's a big difference. So Sankhya, I think here Sankhya is not the classical Sankhya there's sometimes said that there are 6 classical darshanas that are what are called astika, that recognize the Veda. Of course, the Bauta would be Nastika, not recognize the Veda, and the Jainas. But that's not really right. There are more like 14 different systems. But Sankhya is one of those, but it's not a very important one. And here I don't think it means that. It means something like meditation or just worldview in general, the word Sankhya. It's not the Sankhya Darshana that later becomes one of the classical Indian systems. I don't think here when they talk about Sankhya in the Gita usually just means either meditation or overview. Not necessarily, or not at all, the Sankhya that became famous in later classical times as one of the 6 Astika. Astika sometimes translated as orthodox, but that's wrong, because orthodox means same belief. And none of them have the same beliefs. It's orthopraxis. It's what in the minds of the people who identified themselves as Astika as opposed to the Gnostikas, who are the Buddhists, the Jainas, and so on, is the ceremonies of the Veda. Birth ceremonies, death ceremonies, marriage ceremonies, and the Buddhists threw all that out, along with caste.
Or could you say, like, just treating the Vedas as pramana, like as authority?
No, I don't think so, because the Vedas aren't pramana. They are not informative. They're performative. You do them to evoke Agnim Ide Paro. The very first word of the Rig Veda is Agni, fire. I call the fire, the intermediary. And people interpret this as, the tantrics interpret it as the fire in the heart, calling the divine forces and to come to enlighten us. Agnimide Purohitam Yajnasya Deva Ritwijam Hotaram Ratnadatamam. So they bring the riches of the divine realm here. So it's these sacrifices where you throw ghee in there and so on. And the Brahmins made money, right? You had to pay them to give over these sacrifices that were expensive. Also marriage and all that sort of stuff.
Krishna's going to say in a little bit that he teaches Jnana Yoga for the Sankhyas and Karma Yoga for the Yogis.
Yeah, but now I don't think Sankhya means the classical Sankhya, though. I think when he says,
that's how he's going to say it.
I don't think so. I don't think you should interpret that way.
Okay.
But
No, I'm asking.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Cool. Great. Yeah, great.
I think it's more overview. It's like Sankhya is this. Another word for it is Buddhi Yoga.
Okay.
Yoga for the higher intelligence.
Yeah. Okay.
Chapter 3, we're going to get to Karma Yoga, which I think it's chapter 3 is the real heart of the Gita. Chapter 3 and 4, because it's about Karma Yoga. After all, they're getting ready to fight a war, right, of action, and it's all about the yoga of action. Karma Yoga is the yoga of action. But chapter 2 is this very broad view that is supposed to take the sting out of killing your teacher, and and Bhishma, and all these beautiful people on the other side. And I don't know. I personally think if it weren't Krishna, as Robin was saying that if it's like one of us, it sounds crass. Because if somebody's suffering or dying, you want to say, well, hey, you're going to be reborn. Come on, don't worry about it so much. Hey, your husband's dying. Hey, he's probably going to be, he's going to be reborn. You'll be together again in the next life. That seems a little insensitive to people's grief. But the Vedantins tend, the Buddhists are very good about that. Sarvam Dukam. respect people's suffering. The Vedantins try to look at everything a little bit rosy, right? I mean, everything's the manifestation of this Brahman, wonderful, Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. But if Krishna says that, that's really, enheartening. But if I say it, it sounds crass. It sounds insensitive.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just my personal take on
Great.
reincarnation. That's what we're gonna get right now, right? Which verse are we on?
26 or 16?
16.
16.
Oh, can I get a stab? Can I give it a shot?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I look on the notes with you?
Yeah, I wish I could sing very well like the way you can sing, because all the Gita means song, and you can sing all these, right? They have a rhythm to them,
So Ben and I did this together, and he helped me a lot with it. But nasato, but would it be
Nasato.
taha? Would it be?
Nasato. Oh, wait, breaking the sun to be nasato.
Vidyate, bavo, nabavo,
No abavo.
so short. Oh, I have it as long.
No, you do, but he's saying it's
Oh.
not.
Break it.
and
No.
Okay.
Plus
right.
equals a.
Yeah, right.
No
Na.
abavo.
Nabavo. Let's see. Vidyate, sata. So then breaking the study here. Nasataha.
Ubior.
You're on Ubayor.
Oh, I'm here.
You just read that. Now you're here.
Oh, whoops, my bad. Ubayo.
That's where you break it. Ubior. Abi.
Ubayor api. So let's see.
Drishto.
Drishto anta.
Antas.
Okay, so breaking the Sunday here would be Drishto antas tan ayostat vadrishti.
Yeah, this has a lot of Sunday
Yeah,
in it.
I
This is
know.
the hardest
It's the
one.
hardest. It's the
Yeah,
hardest.
because
It's hard.
there's a hidden two. Two means but. However, right? So Drishto antas two.
Yeah.
Adios.
Drishto.
Tattvadarshi.
Two. Yeah, two. So the T in the V is two.
Right, two.
Two.
Right.
Two on. Okay, cool. And then so word by word, or maybe we should just do the translation of it. We said, what is not true is seen in what exists. What is true is seen in what doesn't exist. The one who sees both of these in the end sees truth.
Okay. This is one of the hardest.
Yeah. This is
And I've looked at some of the commentaries, Shankara and some other commentaries, and they all disagree. And the reason is they're in English, we have is, right? I am, you are, he, she, he is, she is, okay. That's to be, right? It's a irregular verb in English, to be. And I think in a lot of languages that to be verb is irregular. In Sanskrit, there are two forms of to be.
Okay.
One is boo,
Ooh.
and one is us, and both of them are in this verb.
Yeah.
So it's very confusing,
Yeah.
right? It has both bhavas from boo, and in the everyday Sanskrit they mean exactly the same thing, except maybe boo is more becoming, coming to be, maybe. So I mean, often they're just synonyms.
Right.
So nasato vidyate bhavo. So one way of translating, this is what Shankara does. He says there is no coming to be of that which does not exist, and there is no coming to be of that which exists.
Oh wow.
of the limit untus. That's what's so hard, because there should be no limit, there should be no end to that which is. But here it's sort of like the limit of both. When that's seen, of those two, well, that's seen by those who really know the truth.
So the first one that he said,
no, that's a present participle of us. Being, so it's being, non-being.
So Shankaracharya said that
There is no
being
bhava, being
in that which doesn't
of
exist.
that which is not, which does not exist. There is no coming to be of that which does not exist. And there is no non-coming to be of that which exists. I think this is maybe emanation theory, right? Everything comes out of Brahman.
Well, I mean, right, I think a lot of those systems have this idea that if a thing exists, like we get this in Sankhya, right? That if a thing exists in any real way, it must have always existed.
Oh, okay, that could be.
I mean, I don't know, this idea of even Prakriti.
Well, if we go on with the other verses, we see that there is this contrast between the immortal and that is forever and pervades everything, and that which is transitory.
When you say this is Shankar's...
But remember, there is in Vedanta from the Upanishads, and the Gita is picking up, I think, the Upanishads more than any kind of Sankhya, is there's emanation, right? The creation is even the word for creation is emanation. Sarga is like a spider spins its web out of its own self, so the one true self spins all these universes out of its own self. That's from the Chandogya Upanishad. So the Upanishads have this emanationist theory of creation. The one looses itself forth into forms. But that it's only that which exists that can become. That which that which doesn't exist can't come to be. That's one interpretation. I admit it.
But Shankar's not. He's also just saying bhava. Like he's not clarifying the usage of bhava as meaning be or become. Is he? I'm asking you, right? When you say this is Shankar's take, that it means there's no becoming. Since bhava can also just mean be or is or exist, like is Shankar offering like is he glossing bhava?
Also there's the idea that the true self doesn't die, right? I mean that's the main theme of this, right? So and that's what really exists. The body comes and goes, but the self remains constant.
Well, and if you talk about becoming as an active process, doesn't that necessarily suggest moving from one state to another?
Yeah, well, that's what I say. That's the creationist theme of the Upanishads. That the famous mantra that all Vedantins say. I think we went over it last time. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishrite. This is the infinite, that is from it. From the infinite comes out this world, right? But even though the world comes from the infinite still remains the infinite.
Right.
But there's this sense that everything is come from the absolute, Brahman.
Right. Yes.
So that's what Shankara will stress in all this.
Yep.
Okay.
So becoming is not an unnatural reading of bhava. Unless there are two sides of interpretation. There's the Padmapada Vivarana school and the Vachaspati. The Padmapada would say no, it's an illusion. Becoming is an illusion. But there's another the Bhamati school of interpretation of Shankara says no. This is a real becoming. This,
There's a name for, you might know, right? There's a name for the idea that the result exists in the cause.
Satkaryavada and Asatkaryavada, yeah.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah, we were, Satkaryavada is, look, nothing comes from nothing. If, if we see these tangible things, they have to have some sort of pre-existence. I mean, the gold bracelet comes from gold, and so on. Now the problem is, how come I'm suffering though? How come, if it all comes from this beautiful Ananda, such an Ananda Brahman, how come I have a headache? I mean, I'm supposed to, you are Brahman. You're a Brahman. You are the absolute. Right? Soham. I am that. Well then how come I have a headache?
Isn't it because of your separation from God?
Yeah, well, that's right, but why?
But even
I mean, looks like
But you're not.
God's a little, I don't know. How did God get into this mess? It's either, like a little stupid. It's like, why does Purusha get mixed up with Prakriti? It's like, boy, that was stupid. I mean, if you're so hot, how come you got mixed up with Prakriti? There's something's wrong here.
Well, yeah. It's funny, I know you have this work that you're working on rasa
and beauty, yeah.
And beauty.
Trying to get over this, but I've decided it's too crass.
No, yeah, well, okay, but this idea, right? I mean,
trying to justify Brahman through beauty, the beauty of the universe.
This larger view, right? I was thinking of the 5 tastes or something in Ayurveda, and spiciness, right? Is actually, it doesn't have a taste bud. It's the pain receptors, right? Yeah, okay. You just get a tiny little tingle of the pain receptor, and then you start to like it gives flavor, right? Like you're like, oh, that just like the capsicum just gives a little touch on the pain receptors, and then from Krishna's view of the universe, there's the spicing of pain.
That's right. In the Alankara Shastra, the literary criticism, there are 8 and then 9 and then 10 rasas. Rasa is literally taste, flavor. But it comes to be the word for aesthetic experience. And so the most important is Shringara, erotic rasa. And then they have compassion is the second, that your response to suffering. And then they have hasya, the comic. But they also have the disgusting rasa, and fear, like in a horror movie. But what's so neat about this is that they all bring joy. Even these very negative rasas bring joy.
Sure.
And I think I mentioned that Shloka, the very first poet, Valmiki in the Ramayana, Shoka is grief, but some terrible hunter kills, I think it's a bird, I think quail or something, and he kills it, and the mate just lets out a cry of agony. And this inspires the poet to write a beautiful shloka, verse. And so he turns the grief of the cry of the bird for its mate into the most beautiful poetry. And so, that was but we stray far. But I think that Vedanta has that kind of very positive outlook, and it does sound a little crass sometimes when somebody is suffering or has a splitting headache or something. Anyway, very good. Are you going to take the next one, Ben, or I know maybe Doc wants to do one, right?
No, I don't practice this one.
Okay. 17?
17. Avanas Avanasi tu tavidi yena
Yes.
sarva midam tatam vinasama
Vinasham
vinasham
avya yes avyayasya. That's really hard. Avyayasya asya. There's avyayasya and then asya.
Avyayasa asya
Asya. Again, and equal a.
na
Kaschit, kaschit,
kartumarati.
nakaschit arhati. So vidhi, know that as not destroyed. Yena, whereby sarvam, all idam, this is pervaded.
What was
Again, this is
pervaded?
pervaded. Brahman is everywhere. Right? It's not so foreign to Westerners, though usually, God's transcendent. Here, this is immanence. I remember hearing some beautiful preacher one time saying, if you make your bed in hell, he's there, he's everywhere. Help me, somebody. They get in this kind of preaching rhythm, right? So that's sort of same idea, that the divine being is pervasive. Right. Yena tarvam to vinasham. Destruction is of the changeable, the perishable. The imperishable. That's no one, na kashit, no one is able, arhati, to do, that's a feminine, kartum, to make a destruction, vinasham, of the imperishable. So again, notice how in Sanskrit word order doesn't matter. You have to look for the subject, and that's kashit in this case. And na kashit, so no one is able, arhati, go to the verb. And again, the reason the words are in the order they are in is for the meter. That's it. They're making the meter totally regular. So a great freedom, right, for poets to just mix up words. And also there's a kind of emphasis on the last word and the first word. Right. Okay, so now Robin is gonna try one. Okay.
Anta, Vanta.
Yes, ma'am.
Imi,
Ime.
Deha,
Dave, very good.
Nityas.
No, it's genitive singular. The sya is very common, right? Nityasya. So of the eternal, the constant. So nityasya, that's the word, right? Because it's the genitive case. Nityasya, and then the plus u equals o. So the reason it's o is because it's plus u, so it's nityasya uta. Shari Rina. Shari Rina, right. Anashino.
Yasya.
Yeah, again the genitive. Anu aprameyasya. Tasmat, therefore. Yud yaswa. Yud yaswa. That's an imperative. Fight. Yud yaswa. Yud. Yud is the.
Yeah, Yud is fight. I knew that.
Bharata is a name
Bharata.
for
Bharata.
Very good. So, so let me read it so you get a sense of the meter, and then you can tell me what to translate it. Antavanta ime deha nityasyokta shadinaha avinasho aprameyasya tasmat yudyasva bharata. Therefore, get up and fight, Bharata. Okay, so antavanta, having ends, ime deha, these bodies, deha. Deha and sharira are synonyms. Deha is the body.
So
So
it's
this
like
is,
since we have these bodies.
we have these bodies. They're perishable. They have ends,
Okay.
right? But sharira is the name for body, but the in suffix means having. So my body, that very expression, my body, implies that there's something that has the body. That's your self or soul, your consciousness. It has the body. So that which has a body, right, is ukta deha nityasya ukta sharirina. These bodies that belong to the immortal nityasta, constant possessor of the body. Well, these bodies have an end. And then the next line, that's the first sentence. Anashino, again a genitive. Aprameyasi, another genitive. Of that which is not indestructible, immeasurable, prameya. Tasmat yudyaswa. Those are all modifiers of sharira. So let me translate this again. These bodies of the constant body possessor are said to have an end. But that body possessor is indestructible, immeasurable. Therefore, stand up, fight, yudyasva bharata. Again, maybe a little crass.
The part of you that's immortal.
But there's a part of you that's immortal. And, you know, again, in the later Vedanta, they get this notion of a lila. Even war is a kind of play. Again, it sounds terrible.
Yeah. It sounds like
we're not sensitive to how people are suffering in war.
yeah.
But Krishna did say he's speaking words of wisdom.
It's very direct.
Yeah.
We are limited by our biological structures.
Right. That's right. That's right. Our bodies die, and they get old. They have gray hair, hearing problems. And
Right.
so on.
It sounds just like, like any other religion that's telling people to go and fight like a kamikaze, and it doesn't matter, you're gonna go to heaven.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. That's really objectionable.
Yeah.
I think that's really objectionable.
Well,
Makes me not want to teach the Bhagavad Gita.
I know.
But we're getting into all this good yoga stuff later.
Yeah, I know. It's just part of it. Deal with it though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But on the contrary, in our culture, there's a Ram Dass, his documentary, Becoming Nobody. He talks about, but in our culture, the doctor goes and tells the dying patient, everything's looking good, and then goes out to the hallway and tells his family he's only got 2 days to live. We're not so direct.
Yeah.
But the mainstream commentary on this book,
Yeah.
in so much as it exists as a living tradition,
Right.
always suggests that this is a metaphor.
Oh,
Always
right.
suggests that this
That's
is
right.
invariably.
That's right, because ahimsa, for one thing, is taught.
Yeah.
And Mahatma Gandhi said, Krishna would never tell anyone to go and kill someone.
And, we have this, by the way, if anyone wants to see it in the lobby, we have a brilliant, the best translation adaptation I'm aware of the Mahabharata,
Uh-huh.
is a 36-volume comic book sitting in the lobby right now.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
so you
I'd
get the
like to
whole
look at
thing, and it goes very badly, right? Like he does fight at the end. We know he does fight at the end, and it's a disaster.
Yeah.
It does not go well,
No.
right? I mean, the everything that he predicted would be so awful does in fact
happen.
go that badly.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what Krishna's up to.
Well, this word yudhyasva, it repeats a lot.
Yeah,
Fight. But later there's a refrain, it's yoga yukta yudhyasva. Discipline, practicing yoga, fight.
Yeah.
And the teaching of karma yoga is do it for somebody else. Make all your action a gift. Do it for those you love. Do it for Brahma. But instead of taking the karma yoga, very simple message, give. Make all your action a gift. Have no regard for the fruit or your own personal fruit. And then there's this discussion of karma yoga. They say, well, could even thievery be a gift, right? And there are even these, in India, I don't know, there are these groups of robbers, who, maybe think that they can make a sort of offering of their thievery. But I think if you're going to give a gift, it's got to be something beautiful. And thievery is not beautiful. So if you're going to give a gift, you don't want to give something to the person that they don't like. You want to give something that they like. So I think that tempers. It's almost as though all of action comes out of Brahman. And you just change your attitude. There's this level shift, and you see this great play of forces. And the way to tune in is to not try to take it in as profit, but to give. And then you have this double consciousness the way Krishna is. You live in Brahman, and at the same time you live in a body. I don't know, that's one way of interpreting karma yoga and the fierce side of the world that has a lot of war, has a lot of terrible stuff going on. Anyway, this is
I mean, the classic interpretation, right, is always about an internal battlefield.
okay.
I mean, typically that's what
sure.
I hear.
That's
right?
what Gandhi said.
Right. I mean, you hear that a lot. That this is doing war with the sides of ourselves that are, meant to be defeated. And
Personally, I don't think so, though.
yeah, right.
I think there's some archaeological evidence for this, and I don't.
Wow.
Oh, this was really a battle?
Yeah,
Oh.
Well, I mean,
When do you think?
around 800 or 700 BC, something around there. Maybe a little later than the oldest Upanishads, but before, some stories grew up about it, and I don't know. That's just one theory.
I mean, it's a universal enough thought, right? Like whether this happened in this way, when there was this guy. I mean, you have to think the same sentiment happened at some point on a battlefield in the Civil War. There were, families fighting, right? Someone had these thoughts and people fought, right? But like, what is the intent?
Yeah, well, those transcendentalists, Thoreau, Emerson, and so on, they were pretty much pacifists,
Right,
but they loved the Bhagavad Gita.
right, right.
So yeah, I agree that there's much that's metaphoric, but I don't think you have to take the actual. But here's what, for me, means you don't have to take the battle as absolute metaphoric. It's a just war. It's a just war. Kick their butts.
They're fighting on the side of right.
Yeah, they're on the side of right. Yeah, I mean, Duryodhana cheated. They made a deal. And, I mean, it is complicated,
Yeah.
right? There are two sides of one family.
Yeah.
It's also very much a justification of the caste system.
I don't think so either. The caste system's only mentioned at
When
the
he tells him
beginning.
you are a warrior. You
Okay.
should do your
Do your
job.
duty.
You have to
It's
get, that's
interesting.
pretty
Yeah.
much of a
Yeah.
justification of the
Okay,
caste system.
all right.
Well,
And
was
if we don't do
but
this,
do we know the caste system was the same way then that it is now?
Very good point.
I'm sure it probably wasn't, but he does make that argument.
More
I was
fluid,
pretty strong.
more fluid back then.
I'm sure that's probably
Yeah.
true.
I don't know. I was told though that it was the manifestation that it is now was an experiment by the British.
Blame everything wrong with
Right.
India on the
Yeah.
Brits.
There's
That's a very.
There's definitely a chip on the shoulder.
No, from the mouth of Brahma came the four castes, right?
Yeah, right.
Like they were born like Father Abraham.
But
right?
that's not in the Gita.
No, it's much
Yeah.
older.
Yeah, that's in that's the Purusha Sukta of one of the Vedas and so on.
Yeah, that's
But
what I'm
you
saying.
know,
It
that's
predates
like,
the.
you know how big
that's
the
very
Veda
exactly
is.
my point. Is that it
Okay, so
predates
there
it.
is one sukta that says that. Do you know how big the Veda is?
Yeah.
I mean, even just, 4 Vedas. The Rig Veda has 10 books. Each book has about 120
Yeah.
poems.
Yes.
And some of the poems are like 5 to 6 pages long.
Yes.
So one of them does have something about caste.
I first
There,
started.
the whole 8th book of the Rig Veda is all about Soma, taking psychedelic drugs,
Uh-huh.
and the visions you get from taking Soma. So, I don't know, you could say, let's condemn the Veda not for the caste system, but for its, drugginess.
Yeah.
I mean, you could pick, the
I'm not-
Veda has everything.
I'm not setting out to
No.
it's not. I'm just talking about whether or not it is established prior to these
Well,
settings. and, like,
again, that's almost impossible to say because there were additions,
Yes. Right.
interpolations they call them, right? And so that Purusha Sukta is probably quite late, or who knows?
Right.
I first started studying this book a little bit on my own, but I was studying with practicing with Bikram,
Yes,
Bikram is in the warrior caste.
right,
You know?
okay, Kshatriya, right.
Yeah, and like Arjuna, and so
Right,
he was
like
always
Arjuna.
like doing references
Right.
like with Arjuna and himself, and he was very much like not a metaphor. You go fight,
Not a metaphor.
not a metaphor.
Okay,
you know?
good for him.
That's
Well, so how does karma fit into this in our constitution? Because there are people who.
Well,
are like by nature, right?
Yeah,
Regardless of the concept of caste.
yeah, well, Arjuna has these various reasons for not fighting, right? And one of them is karma, the bad karma of doing this, right? But Krishna answers that in chapters 3 and 4 on karma yoga. One of the points of karma yoga is it burns up, you burn up old karma and you don't engender new karma, right? That your action just, I don't know, I can't quite remember the verse, but like water flows off a lotus leaf, your karma, your action, if you do it as a gift, as a sacrifice, you don't build up any karma. In fact, you're burning up karma. So and that's, he says, and then he gives this very universalist ethic. He says, I don't have to do anything. I don't have anything to accomplish, but I do acts to set an example, to set everybody in some way follows me, and sometimes I have to come back to set new standards. That's in 321. I set new standards of action and of course, karma doesn't stick to me. It's just all a kind of gift, and So again, there's some kind of level shift though, right? I mean, to say that,
Yeah.
and then there's this terrible things happening in Gaza or wherever. You can't say,
Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry, we
No,
we really digressed. I'm sorry. So where are we here?
18?
19 now.
We did that one,
Yeah,
okay.
fight.
So now you're gonna. How many did you do, Ben?
Oh, I mean, we're past what I tried to translate.
Okay. Let me do a couple of the speed up line. Ya enam veti hantaram yascha enam manyate hatam ubao tau na vitani to nayam hantina hanyate. Ya, who knows this one? Enam as a killer, and cha, who thinks this one enam going over hatam killed. Ubao, both of these two, no, they don't know anything. Because why? No, this one doesn't kill, nor is it killed. And then this is a verse that my teacher, first teacher in Sanskrit, Chinmay, taught me. And I wish I could sing like she could. It was so beautiful, but it was something like Najayate Mriyadeva Kadachitnayam Bhutva Bhavitava Nabuyaha Ajo Nityaha Shashwatoyam Prano Nahanyate Hanyamane Sharire. Now, I wish Kendra would learn that. So move our hearts. I can't, I'm sorry, it's not one of my talents. But Najayate, it's not born, nor does it die. Kadachit, ever. It's never born, nor does it ever die. Nor is it that it comes to be and then it won't come to be again. Ajo, unborn, constant, nitya, shashwato, eternal, stretching back infinitely. Ayam Purano, the ancient one. Nahanyate, does not kill. It is not slain, is not killed, is not slain. The locative absolute, this is a locative absolute. Hanyamane sharire, when the body is being slain. When the body is being slain, this one is not. The inner self is not slain. So
it doesn't slay and is not slain.
It does. It does not slay and it is not slain. And when the body is being slain, it's not slain.
When the body is being slain.
When the body is being slain, that's that locative absolute. Sharire is in the locative case. We had sharirin, that was the possessor of the body, that was the suffix.
Right.
But this is sharire, if you go, the declension, masculine declension, a is very common. There are some other forms, but for masculine nouns ending in which is, 85% of them, a is the locative case. And you'll see it over and over again.
So if the body is slain, how could it not be slain?
Because it indwells the body, but when the body's slain, it's not slain, it goes on. It's the idea you're asleep, you wake, or so on. There's still some inner self.
Well, that's what I understand, but you said this time the body is not slain.
No, the body is.
Oh, the body's
I'm sorry.
slain.
Maybe I misspoke.
The inner
Self is not.
Oh, okay, I got you. I understand now. Because that has never been born and it will never die.
And never die.
If there are no stakes to death, murder, slaying, or not slaying,
Okay.
why are there stakes to duty? Like, what does duty emanate from? Right? Somehow there are stakes to duty. You must do your duty. You're a kshatriya.
Yes.
You're whatever.
Yes.
You have this inclination,
Yes.
right? But from
But I think there's a change of what you're supposed to do because, you know, we get to the yoga teaching. We haven't gotten to it yet.
right.
The one who sees, and there is a use of caste, an outcast,
Yeah.
a dog,
Yeah.
an elephant, and the highest caste Brahmin is all the same,
Right. Yeah.
equal-hearted.
Right.
And there's this universalist message that you act for the benefit, the enlightened person, sarva hite rata, the enlightened sarva, everyone. Hite, there's locative singular. Hitta is the good, what's good for them. Rata, delighted.
Yes.
The enlightened are delighted in the welfare of everyone.
Yes. Right.
And Krishna acts for the benefit of everyone. So it does seem as though, and also he condemns these Veda mongers. Don't listen to them, flowery speech. So there is a shift. There's a new morality, it seems to me, to come with the Gita. It may be inserted. You know, some great poet, Rishi, inserted it. Maybe it doesn't fit in very well with some of the other passages in the Gita. I mean, in the Mahabharata. Anyway, so yeah, these verses continue in this way, right? Veda avinashinam nityam ya. So Veda, someone who knows Veda, knows this one as avinashi, right? That nasha, destroyed, as not being destroyed, constant, unborn, ajam, ya, enam, ajam, unborn, ja, to be born, avyayam, unchanging, katham sapurusha. How will this person, purusha, how will this person cause someone to die? Who is he going to kill? How is this person? The person who knows the inner being, he's not that inner, I guess the implication, it's not really killing. It does sound terrible. It sounds, it's like, yeah, you can go out. I mean, like, I don't know, divine revenge, right?
I hear it, from like an Arya Nagarjuna kind of way of like self-existence and this from the Buddhist perspective.
Yeah, it is. I think you're right.
Yeah, of like it's not that. Right?
Yeah, it's a level shift.
It's a level shift.
It's a level shift. I mean, you just
Like you
that,
can't.
if you live in that consciousness, you don't kill anybody. Yeah, it just goes on. It is like Sankhya. Prakriti just goes on. You watch it. You don't kill. You don't be killed. Actually, though, it's not like Sankhya. There is a role for the enlightened person holding, Loka Sangraha. There are some keys to that universalism. Loka Sangraha, holding together the universe, is setting a good example, and delighted in the welfare of all beings. So that is I think that's a kind of mystic yogic ethic that lives throughout Indian culture. Even you find it in these late philosophers, Nyaya and so on, as opposed to the ritualist, revelatory, rule-setting, Dharma Shastra. Everything is ordained according to your caste, sex, age, and so on. It seems like you put the tantrics and the yogis and the Brahma lovers and so on over here on this mystic side. They're opposed to the traditional rule-bound mimamsa ethical system, and it comes out. It comes out even in a stick in the mud, like The guy I worked on for 20 years, Gangesha, comes out. It's a real conflict.
I mean, like you said, it is early, and I do think that there's some obvious conundrums or contradictions in what he's saying.
Yeah, there are.
Which is not to say that because it's poppycock, but to say that like it seems like he's trying to point something. He's using some sort of like upaya or skillful means to try to steer us in some direction.
Good. One way that poetry kicks you into some other emotional state is by saying something contradictory or something unusual, right? That pushes you into some new understanding, right?
Could you even talk someone out of violence outwardly and inwardly by telling them to fight in a very poetic way?
Very good. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's good. Okay. So here's another beautiful. Remember when we're shifting back between these two meters here, and the shloka is beautiful but common. Everybody. I mean, it's like iambic pentameter in Shakespeare. It's every budding poet can do shloka, but this other Trishtu's harder. Levin Vasam Sijirnani Yata Vihaya Navani Grinati Naro Purani Tata Sharirani Vihaya Chirnani Anyani Sanyati Navani Devi. Oh, that is beautiful. That's really good, right? And it's a lot of assonance in there, this repeating. And because of all the ani, that's plural, right? Vasamsi, these clothes, chirani, as you throw off old clothes and a person you take on new other ones, so the body possessor, that sharirin, the body possessor throws off these old bodies, right? And takes on new bodies. The dehi, again, deha was a synonym, and dehi is that same in suffix, which means the one who possesses or has. So the dehi has a body. And then we shift back to this quicker meter shloka. Nainam chindati shastrani nainam. And look at the repetition. And the I. Nainam chindati shastrani nainam dahati pavaka. Nachainam kladiyan tyapo nashoshati bharata. It's very enheartening, the rhythms and so on, right? This one, weapons, shastra, weapons, do not cut this one. Nainam dahati, fire, pavaka, does not burn this one. Water, apaha, does not make this one drown, kladiyanti. And wind, they go through the elements, right? All the elements. Wind, maruta, does not make this one dry up. So this one's immune to those.
Which one was water?
Excuse me?
Apaha.
Apaha is water. You see, it's kladiyanti, and see, E before any vowel changes to ya, right? So E changes to ya, and U changes to va. Those are the big changes there are four semivowels, right? Let's do a quick alphabet, right, everybody? A, E, U, Ri, A, I, O, ow, K, G, G, Ch, Ch, J, J, Nya, K, K, G, G, N, T, T, D, D, N, P, P, B, B, M,
ya,
ra, la, va, sh, sh, sa, ha, om. And that ya, la, ra, va, those are called semivowels, and Sandhi makes some of those vowels change into semivowels. That's why we go through it. Okay. So now we're to do any of you all, well, I'm sorry, I need to learn all your names. Anybody want to try one? Anybody else? Any volunteers down there? What's your name
Okay,
again?
I'm Judith.
All right.
Okay, Achendio, Yamadayo,
We're on, which number we're on? 24?
Yeah.
No, 28.
No, we're on 25. Oh, okay, we're on 24. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 24.
Achedio, okay.
Yamadayo,
Adayo.
Yamaledio.
Ayam is this. And then there every time the ma is hiding an right? Ayam and then dayo, ayam, cladio, and then shosha, evacha. Okay, next one.
Nitya, Sarvagata,
Stanur. Again, like the ra is hiding an Stanur, achalo,
Yam,
ayam, sanatana. Sanatana. So
You put the I in every time.
is not, right? It's the negative
Right.
verbal prefix,
Right.
and I wanted to give you
So
all.
with every, it's not apostrophe, but that sign, there's an I.
Yeah, sometimes they avagraha ayam is just a kind of to signal that they're in the meter. There's an dropped. So and a lot of times they don't use that. They just leave it out. It's just, hey, you slow-minded students, we want to help you out occasionally to let you know that there's really a hidden there.
We appreciate that.
Anyway, so ached yo yom, adayo yom, akled yo, ashosya evacha, nitya sarvaka stanur, achalo yom sanatana. So this one, it's sort of the same thing, right? Ached yo, it's not, again, it's repetitive, not being cut, it's all gerundives, future passive participles. Not to be cut, not to be burned, not to be drowned, not to be dried up, eternal or constant, nitya, sarvagata, sarva, everywhere, gata, having gone everywhere, pervasive, stanur, stable, achalo, unmoving, ayam sanatana, this immortal one. Avyakto yam, again it keeps on going. Avyakto yam, unmanifest, achintyo, unthinkable, ayam, avikaryo, there's no perversion, no ayam uchate, tasmat evam viditva, knowing like this, knowing this one. If you know this one, evam, in this way, na anushochiyatu marhasi, then you will be ready not to grieve. And the anu there is like over, it's not like grief, it's like you're not going to over grieve or something like that. You're not going to have, remember we talked about that a little bit last time? This sort of, you're not in your overview. We're going to get the same line again. It's like just a little of this dharma saves you from the great fear, the fear of death, the fear of being nothing. That this is, hey, there's something that's always, that's in you, that goes on forever and has been forever and is forever. I must say, I like this, the common the universal self. What I have a hard time with is cosmologically. How come all these dark holes and all these zillion galaxies and so on? How can Brahman be out there too? It's like so remote.
My goodness.
It's the body.
That's the whole, yeah.
But that's like saying,
There are other worlds, right? There are other, other planets. Everything's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I somehow want to think this is special.
Well, it is to us.
It is because we don't know of any other one. We just don't know.
But the whole theory of it being like an eternal self kind of implies that we're not the only one and that there are many layers.
Yeah, many.
yeah, I mean, it gives the impression that this could very well be taking place on, out on one of those planets that we're talking about at the same time.
Okay, I like that. That's great.
I don't see why not.
Okay,
In this
all right.
context.
Okay.
I think it's good luck if you know the Ashravaka Gita. There's this great book where the unborn child is correcting his father's pronunciation from within the womb. That's really good luck if you read. Maybe he'll correct he or she will correct you.
Yeah.
Someone born.
That's-
He's
Yeah.
corrected me all the time.
Your guru is you're gonna have your guru as your
That's
child.
how you have to pronounce it.
In favor of reincarnation, if we've been beating it up a lot, is one thing is notice that children do have a lot of personality right off. The
That's true.
empiricists, everything is a matter of learning, experience.
Right.
There's a tabula rasa. But it does seem that, I don't know, even I noticed, we had a dog we really loved. And even it had personality, right, from right off. It's like, not just dog stuff,
It was very, very good.
Well, the other thing, like with the dog, is don't cower. But like, I have a dog like this. I'm just walking near you, like we've never hit you. And then
Why did you
I'm
remember?
like, there's other people in this house too. Maybe they did, but
Yeah, that's one of the arguments the philosophers use for
Yeah.
reincarnation. They say, how do we know right off to reach for the mother's breast?
right.
Right.
I mean, you're not just flailing around. You go
Yeah.
very directed.
Yeah. The Yoga Shastra, says when you
Drop a baby.
when you almost drop a baby and the baby cries.
Yes.
Right? Like the baby's never been dropped and has never fallen before. And
But it's still anticipating.
and it cries, and what's it scared of?
It's
Yes.
from the last lifetime you dropped it. Okay.
But then the baby talks about how their dad almost dropped him once
Uh-huh.
as a victim. But then you kind of have to, what would have been different had that not happened? Like we just justify all these things, or kind of like feel like we emerged from some kind of heroism
Yeah.
or childhood. But would it have been any different?
They were
Would be
they were our teachers teaching us compassion.
yeah.
Okay, well maybe we can get a couple more in here. Let's see, any more volunteers to struggle through? You want to try one? Okay.
It's 26.
26, all right, very good.
Ata Jainam Nitya Jatam Nityam Va Manyase Manatam Te Tapi
Tata api,
Tita Api Sivam
twam,
Tvam Mahabaho Naivam
so na evam.
Oh
Na evam.
Na Evam
A plus A equals I. Okay, na evam, naivam.
So she tum var asi.
Yeah, again the hidden So,
Oh.
Sochitum Arhasi. Arhasi. You are fit. You should not grieve, right? Atta. Let's come down a level. Atta. This is alternative. Attava. Alternatively, if you think manyase, you think, and va, right? There's the va. So this is an alternative way of looking at things. If you think that this one is eternally born and eternally slain, still, tatapi, even so, oh Mahabahu, great armed one, that's just a vocative for Arjuna, you shouldn't grieve. Remember, Vedanta is super positive. We need to change, but take heart. It's going to come all right. It's going to be all right. Even though, as you say, it doesn't really, that's not really borne out in the story. Okay, let's try. So that was 20.
That was 26.
Yeah, and then he gives the reason. We got to do 27.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur. Okay, I think I remember the meter of the I have a song, a melody for that. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam chandra mritasya cha tasmat apariharyete yarte natvam sochitum arhasi. So for certain, dhruva is the death of that which is born. And cha, birth is certain, dhruvam, of that which dies, of that which is dead. Therefore, tasmat, therefore, up here, here's a locative absolute. Arte, that's just the circumstance. Artha is the most common word. It says the object or the thing. Aparihar, remember the hidden there. It's unavoidable. Pariharya means avoid. But unavoidable. The thing being unavoidable, that's that locative absolute. Natvam, you should not grieve. You should not grieve. And then we get avyaktadini bhutani, back to shloka. Vyaktam madhyani bharata avyaktidani eva tatra kapari devana. The beginnings, adi, of things are in the unmanifest. Right? Everything comes out of Brahman. The middle are manifest. The ends are again in the unmanifest. Everything comes out of the one. Tatraka. What's there to paridevana? It's not just grief that's sort of that's more psychological. I don't know. What's there to gripe about? What's there to gripe about? That's it being unavoidable. I mean, how can you have birth or maybe even anything transitory? How could there be anything transitory without death and birth, ends and beginnings? All right.
Well,
this world is transitory.
But are we taking vyakta here as something different than bhava, right? Like
no, it's the what
because then
has
it's
become.
contradictory if they're not quite different. You see? Because a minute ago he said if something is, then it must always be, and if something isn't, it must always isn't. But now he's saying it goes from being unmanifest to being manifest.
Yeah,
to being unmanifest.
that's true.
So vyakta
So
has
in a
to
way,
have
there's this
flavor.
level shift. There's
Yeah.
this jump up, but also, and there are different emphases on this, but as I said from the very beginning, there's an emanationist creation story. The unmanifest becomes manifest as us. But then why do I have a headache?
Well, it's funny. I mean, the same thing he's saying here about, look, what, you were born, so you have to die.
Yeah.
Right? And
Right.
if you die, you must have been born, and, it's this limitless round that goes.
But his is more positive. When you die, you're gonna be born.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's not gonna end. Another argument for rebirth is, notice every cognition that you're aware of has a successor. So why should there be a last one? So, I mean, look, come on, reincarnation is deep set in the South Asian culture. I mean, the Buddhists who believe in shunyata and emptiness, they still certainly practice. The lamas in Tibet certainly look at the beggar bowls and the beads and so on, and they identify your previous carnation.
But the same thing that you're saying is positive, or uplifting, is exactly what they cite as
negative.
negative, right? Yeah, and you're going to be born, and the fact that you're born is exactly what's killing you, and you're going to have to be born again.
That's why I'm not a Buddhist. I'm sorry.
Well, they also say you can
okay. Well, let's do one more. All right, let's see. What were we got? We're going to finish on a Trishtu, right? Oh, and this one's quoted all the time. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschit enam. Ascharyavat vadati tataiva chanya. Ascharyavat chainam anya shrinoti. Shrutvapi enam vedana chaiva kaschit. As a kind of miracle, as an awesome occurrence, occasionally someone sees this one perceptually, yogic perception. And similarly, as an awesome kind of miracle, ascharyavat, like one, someone is able to speak about this one. Ascharyavat, someone is even able to hear about this one. But even when you've heard about it, no one really knows, at least in an intellectual way. I mean, they get a contradiction. I mean, the one you don't know in an intellectual way, even though you can know with a change of consciousness, which is what Krishna says over and over again. But we really haven't gotten to the yogic practice part yet, right? This is all the intellectual overview, right? The Sankhya. Anyway, well.
That last line on 229.
229,
Yeah, is that one of those Sundays there?
Excuse me?
Is that not a Sunday? Is that one?
Yeah, there's Sunday, ka, it's ka with the visarga, chit, and those, when they come together, that's a kind of internal Sunday, making it, ka is interrogative, but when you put the chit with it, it becomes abstract anyone, someone, right? And that's repeated. Look, first line has kaschit, someone, occasionally, and then anya is sort of the same meaning, another one, somebody else, and then ascharyavat, anya again. Anya and kaschit are pretty much synonymous. Shrutva enam veda. Notice, I mean, one way to give the Gita a break on its contradictions is to notice the poetry. I mean, the repetition of kaschit, the long vowels, and so on. I really think it's, if you hear people really sing it, it's very uplifting. I don't know, has that quality of buoyancy in the meter, I think.
Is there a one, I mean, I know there's many on YouTube possibly, but is there one you'd recommend to hear the meter?
Yeah, there's no doubt on the web. There's all kinds of things. Unfortunately, you know, the Gita is used in such a what do you want to say, doctrinal way. Some of those websites where they chant it, they're going to brainwash you and try to. whereas you know, I have my own slant. And I think I want everyone to take his or her own. Right,
So that last line, so you say like occasionally a miracle occurs and someone can understand this. Occasionally a miracle occurs and someone can speak about this.
Right.
Occasionally a miracle occurs and someone can hear about this.
Right.
And then the even so, the last line, even so, they don't really get it, or?
They don't.
Really
Yeah, they don't know it.
understand?
They don't. These look perception,
Okay.
right? I mean, it seems there's an object and a subject,
Yeah.
and we're going to get at least one interpretation of the Gita in line with what's called Advaita Vedanta. Is the highest consciousness has no duality in it. It's being and consciousness converge. You don't have to look at yourself. You know yourself by being yourself. There's no duality.
Okay.
So intellectually, there's got to be duality. You can't, even in talking about non-duality, you've got to have duality. So as long as and perceiving is always got duality. And this is Shankar's way of looking at it. And speaking, there's duality, and hearing is duality. But the truest way of knowing there's no duality, you are it.
Is being it.
You're being it.
So you can't be it.
You can't
Even
talk
if a
about.
miracle occurs, you can't
Yeah,
be
yeah.
it.
Yeah, you're beyond
I get it.
duality of,
Okay. I think I understand.
it's a state of
Kind of.
consciousness beyond duality. Is in reference to.
Now,
Okay.
okay, go ahead. Well, Om Tat Sat.
Yay.
Anugrahitosmi. I've been blessed by you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Namaste. I'm not going to talk so much next time. We're gonna